So we started talking about maisim. And we said that there are 3 categories of actions that we're going to cover. And we didn't cover any of them. I remember you pointed that out to me. But then you say 3, just... One type of maisa is called melacha. Melacha many times is translated as labor. Okay? Melacha. It's a maisa that requires concentration and toiling. That is, you have to work at it. And when you do it, it distances you from thoughts of taiva, of desire. And when we're talking about desire, we all know what we're desiring. What? No, you don't know? First you're like, yeah. Okay, we're not talking about pistachio ice cream. Okay?
What pistachio ice cream?
Oh, it's my favorite. That's I can't resist.
When's Rabbi's birthday?
Hey b'yar, but I'm fleishik then. It's a joke because Hey b'yar, just so you know, is the Israeli Independence Day and everybody does barbecues in Israel. So I'm fleishik, get it? That's why. But you don't have to wait until for my birthday to give me a present. And I always prefer cash. Okay, vend me. What do you have? You went to lunch today, you got something. You made it clear to everybody you're going to lunch. No, I wasn't invited. I had to eat tuna and kugel.
If Rabbi wanted to come, Rabbi said, I'm coming.
No, I'm not going to stick my nose into students' business. I get invited, I come.
I said, how's Rabbi know that I'm going to lunch?
What?
How's Rabbi know that I went to lunch?
I heard you were standing in front of me.
Really?
Yes, I was right there. I felt very ignored. And
I didn't know that Rabbi wanted to come.
I didn't really want to come, but when there's invitations being thrown out and I'm left out.
But I knew Rabbi didn't want to come, and Rabbi said,
You had no idea. You didn't even look at me. I, to you, was a nobody.
I'm going to ask every time now. I got Rabbi's number so I could text him about it.
Yeah, it's on the chat. You could always, you could have my number. I'll give it to you later. You have to show me how to block people. So there's ma'aseh that is a malacha. Daniel, melacha means that you're working hard. Sweat of your brow. Not standing in a room of air conditioning going, you have to pour X amount of concrete in order to... Work hard. Doing the laundry by the river. Remember those days? No. Melacha. Usually, melacha is dealing with, the subject is physical. Whatever you're doing the melacha on is something physical. Okay? And so, when you are engrossed in physicality distances or weakens spirituality in you. It's a seesaw. Choves Alevovis talks about this. Shari Kedusha, there are lots of Sfarim talk about this. That the more you are invested in Gashmis and physicality, your spirituality goes down. The more you're invested in spirituality, the less invested you are in Gashmias. Right? It's a seesaw. You can't, people try, what's really the balance? Can I find the right balance between Gashmias and Ruchnias? It's very hard. And it depends on what you're thinking of. So like Shmuel, when he's thinking, I got to get some chimney jobs, that's Gashmias. He's thinking money, he's not thinking about Hashem. Right? Could. But usually that's not what happens. Usually. Now we have Torah and Derech Eretz, which is the next type of Maisim. Reb Chaim of Volozhin explained, he says, when do we say Yafat Torah im Derech Eretz? When does that work? When your Derech Eretz is also the Torah. When your Derech Eretz is also Torah, then it helps you stave off sinning. And that's explained as follows. The Gemara says in Brachos, Rava says to his students, in the days of Nisan and the days of Tishrei, I don't want you to come to yeshiva. Lo titchazu kamai, ki heichi de lo tidirdu bimzonaichu kula shosa. Those days in Nisan and Tishrei, I want you to work in your fields, so that you won't worry the entire year for your sustenance. Spend those 2 months making money, so that the rest of the year you can sit and learn. And then you won't have to worry about it. And he says, but really, the entire time when they were working in their fields, their whole point was so that we can learn Torah. So the entire time that you're sitting on your computer, my friend, yeah, you, my little furry friend, yes, okay, and you're learning about cybersecurity, the only reason you're doing that is as a heichi timtza, to do a mitzvah of what? Of continuing to learn Torah and to build a Beit Ne'eman and getting married and having a Jewish home. That's what you're doing. You're not doing this because you don't want to learn. You want to learn, but you understand that you have to make money. And then you have to remember Ohr Somayach and send us a monthly check.
I'll just send pistachio ice cream.
Shalom uvracha. Did you see your...
Yeah.
It was nice to see him.
So good to see him. Random as well. It's like,
Random.
yeah.
You know, there's no philosophical definition of random.
Yeah, I don't believe in random, but it was
Okay.
just
So you just said it.
like, I know, I don't really believe in the concept of random. Yeah.
But I have a random question for you.
Yeah.
Where's Yuda?
You there?
Cam.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's the random question. So, Rava tells his students, I don't want to see you in yeshiva, Tishrei and Nisan. Or he says Nisan and Tishrei. Because that's the harvest. So go harvest, get your crops, sell them, plant so that you have, so that you're making money so that you can sit and learn. Not everybody is a billionaire like Yitzchak that can sit and learn and is not worried about anything. And so, you see that the Torah needs to be fulfilled with Maasim Tovim, and that you're going closer and closer Lishma. The Chafetz Chaim says, how is it possible that somebody could work 8 hours a day, and still it would count that every minute that he was working, he would have credit as if he's learning Torah. So, you want to answer the question? Or can I answer? Usually in Musar, all questions are rhetorical. So if you want to give a rhetorical answer, you can.
Okay.
So the Chafetz Chaim says that if the reason that you are working is because you need the money, which is you have to take care of yourself and your family, and whenever you have free time, let's say you've got a break, 20-minute break, so you need to eat, you brought a sandwich from home, peanut butter and jelly, hummus and pastrama, that's what they eat in Israel, hummus and pastrama. Okay, whatever you put in between the two pieces of bread. You eat it and then you're learning. You're doing a little bit, you're learning and learning and learning, and then, okay, break over, back to work. Then it means that the only reason you're working is because you really need the money. But every opportunity that you have to learn, you're learning. So it counts to you as if the entire 8 hours of your working is really learning. That's the idea, that make your derech eretz in the Torah way also. Yes?
Is it still changing the world? You know, by us learning Torah, by actually saying the words, it's creating, so we say, energies, if we can call it that. If he's working and this is counting for Torah learning, is it creating the same energies?
Good question. Simple answer is I don't know. But if I had to make up an answer, then I wouldn't be in yeshiva, I would be in the university, where you'd make up all the answers. That's what a PhD means. Pilot high and deep. You just, yes, of course. The university, I had a best answer. If somebody asked me a question that I didn't know the answer, I would say, that's a really good question. Why don't you write a 3-page paper on it and turn it in next week? That guy's going to be quiet for the rest of the semester. Why not, if he's so interested?
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
Did you write it with AI?
What? They didn't have AI back then. I don't know what in universities they do now. I don't know how they would.
They use like an AI thing that like checks for
So an AI checks an AI. That sounds to me. I don't know. What probably I would do to make it easier is just make oral exams. Bring the students, sit down, ask him some questions, see how he answers, and that's it. He knows. Doesn't know. I used to do that in the Hebrew Bible. Just have an oral exam. I wanted to see if people can, once they read the material, do they know it? So they have an intelligent conversation about biblical passages and what you got out of it. So that's the second category. The third category is ma'asim that are shelo lishma. Things that we're not doing for the sake of Hashem. It's not for the right reason. There are shelo lishma that creates a contradiction in you, and shelo lishma that helps you grow. There are two types within this category. And so we're going to see what the difference is. What's the difference? Yirat Shamayim. If you have Yirat Shamayim, fear of God, then even if you do something shelo lishma, it's bringing you closer. If you have no Yirat Shamayim, and it's just sort of whatever, I'm into leather, so I don't mind, I'll put some boxes, then it's actually creating more of a contradiction, a cognitive dissonance in you. It's much more of a problem. And so, ma'asim can help us avoid the slide, the slippery slope of spiritual decline. And some of them have to be toil, labor, working hard. Some of them are derech eretz, just ma'asim toivim, that we should think in terms of the Torah way. And even if we do something shelo lishma, like for example, you might not feel sometimes to come to class, and you're not really coming to class because you want to connect to Hashem. It's just you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want, you just got here. You want to set a good impression. You don't want people thinking you're the slacker from San Antonio. So, that's lo lishma. But if you have yirat shamayim with it, but you really do have fear of God, then that's okay. Then you're on the right path. So the key is yirat shamayim, Daniel. You with me? Because Houston, we lost contact. Yes, sir.
Fear of man.
Fear of man?
Is connected to fear of Shemaim.
No. Rabbi Yochanan said to his Talmidim, I hope that you fear, it's in Brachas, I hope that you fear Hashem as much as you fear other people. Because we are embarrassed of other people. But you do things in front of Hashem and you're not embarrassed at all. I mean, he's there. He knows what you're doing. Hello? But you wouldn't do it in public. Right? So having embarrassment is good if you carry it over also to Hashem. If you carry it over into your avodas Hashem, that could be very good. It could be helpful for you. But there are people who actually tell you that you need to get rid of the feeling of shame and embarrassment. Bichlal. Be who you are. You shouldn't care about what people say. Just do whatever you feel. Oy vavoy. God forbid. God forbid. The whole avoida of Rabbi Yerucham Mimir, the Mashgiach of Mir, taught the whole avoida of Elul is to tell the body that there's a boss. There is someone in charge, which is the neshama. And that body is required to work for the neshama. The neshama knows what's right and what's wrong. There is this bell that rings when we do something wrong. We have a sense. Most people, unless they really are perverted, that is, they were raised in such a way that they silence that completely. But people know what's right and what's wrong. The more you listen to it, the more attuned you are to your spirituality, the more you will have yirat shamayim, the more you'll be connected to Hashem. The more you try to squash it with alcohol and drugs, with pursuit of physicality, it's still there. So then you have to keep drinking. And then it rings even louder until you eventually get it to, you can barely feel it. But it's always there. God forbid. Tov. So we have to work on yirat shamayim. We have to work on yira, fear of God. Okay, so what do we do? Where do we start? Says Rav Dessler, there needs to be a true and deep penetrating fear that goes all the way to your nefesh. And he says that if whoever did not see Rabbi Israel Salanter Zatzal in Elul, you've never seen the fear of Din in your life. This was maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago. My wife was a witness in a car accident. There's a car who ran over a pedestrian. And whatever, they needed my wife needed to come to testify before the court. Okay. So we drove to the courthouse. This was like 2 days before Rosh Hashanah. And we were waiting. In the end, she didn't need to say anything, and it was fine. But we had to sit in the court and wait. And they brought prisoners in the orange jumpsuits with their hands shackled and with their legs shackled, like this, with 4 guards around them. And you see this judge. And I said, look at this. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the schus to feel a little bit of Emas Adin. This is a judge that's Basar Vadam. And what's the worst thing that he can do to this guy? To keep him in prison. But we are going to be standing before Melech Malchem Lachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That what could he decree upon us? Huh. You want to challenge him? Chas v'shalom. So it gave a little bit of Yiras Adin. Fear. At least 55 million people don't make it from one Rosh Hashanah to the other. 55 million people who were around on last Rosh Hashanah, they were dipping, if they were Jews, right? They're not all Jews, I'm talking about Goyim also. But they were sure that life is going to continue exactly as it was. And what happened? Zeu, Nigmar. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah says that Kol Ba'ei Olam, every human being goes through the din on Rosh Hashanah. Not just Jews. Emas Adin, we need to, gentlemen, this is no joke. They used to say that in Elul, even the fish are ru'adim, shaking and trembling. But for us, what's Elul? We have slichot. Anenu. Right? It's like, Shem Yerachem. Shem Yerachem. Rabbi says, no joke. Yom Adin is coming. We're going to come to Hashem and ask Him, Hashem, please give us one more year. But we don't want just one more year. We want a VIP year. With money, with health, with success, with a shit. We're coming in with a list for Target. We're not going to Walmart. This year is sponsored by Target. Don't go to Walmart. I'm kidding. We're asking for all the good stuff. And they're going to ask in Shamayim, they're going to say, oh, welcome, Mr. Guy. What did you do last year with what we gave you? We gave you a whole year. What did you do? How many minutes are there in a year, gentlemen? I don't know the number. No? Somebody calculate.
Do you have a calculator?
What?
So do you have a calculator?
Yeah.
60 times 24
525,000 and what?
600 minutes.
And 600 minutes. They're going to ask, what did you do with all those minutes? Chavetz Chaim says, for every minute you can learn 200 words of Torah. No? So what'd you do with the minutes I gave you? So now we're going to start kvetching. Well, I was sick a couple of days. And, then I had a little bit of yush. I was kind of down. I had to take some days off. I had a wedding. My foot hurt. Okay, fine, said it. We gave you money. What'd you do with the money? Oh, well, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. What about a little bit of tzedakah with this? A little bit of chesed? We gave you health. What did you do with a healthy body? You think we gave you eyes to watch movies? Give you a mouth to speak what? Words of Torah, words of wisdom, to comfort your fellow Jew, to compliment others, as Zohar says. Just as you get punished for saying the wrong thing, you get punished for not saying the right thing when it's needed to be said. So if you see your wife, Be'ezah Hashem, in the future, and she needs a compliment from you, you need to compliment her. Wow, honey, this dress you're wearing is amazing. It's beautiful. It's my mother's. It happened to me once. I was in a Shabbos meal. You hear me? Come on, I'm telling a Rabbi Matalon story and you're sleeping? What's going on? So it's a nice Shabbos meal. Baruch Hashem. And I say to the Rebbitzin, I said to her, this chicken is very good. She says, thank you. And her husband says, yeah, it's really good. What'd you put in it? And she's like, it's the same chicken I make every week. It's like, no, it tastes different. It's like, it's the same chicken. She was like, oops. So all those things are going to go through. This is Yom Adin. Yom Adin is there looking at everything that we've done, everything we thought, we said, and how we acted, and what we did. Now, Baruch Hashem, all of us have very good deeds. We did chesed, we learned Torah, we did Sedeh. Good. But that's what we were supposed to do. You can't say to Hashem, hey, look, I finished this Masechet. It's like, yeah. Well, what about the other Masechtot? Oh, what do you think we keep you down here? For your good looks? For learning Torah, for doing mitzvot, for doing chesed, perfecting yourself, helping your fellow Jews. That's what we're down here. I don't know what the final number was. But if you think about it, on Rosh Hashanah, there were 1,300, 1,400 Jews that were dipping apple and honey, saying Shana Tova. And on Simchas Torah, they were no longer in this world. That was decreed on Rosh Hashanah. I don't know, 600, 700 soldiers that died in battle, defending us. That was also. Yom Adin is not a... What's in store for us? So we have to get to Rosh Hashanah with a different, penetrating, deep yira that penetrates our nefesh. Inside. And then we're not the same person. When the din is going to come and they're going to say, okay. They're looking like, yes, but that's not that person. That's it, it's done. That person is gone. There's a new person here. And Be'ezah Hashem, they would say in Shamayim, Bdil vayavo, let him go. All right. Give him more money. Give him more health. Give him his shidduch. Give him more learning. Give him more bracha in his life. Let's see what he does. Because we want to invest in this era. And so, how are we going to develop this yira? One is learning Musar. But learning it seriously. Not come to Musar for the jokes that Rabbi Matalon has and, kid around. But I use humor in order to get you off your keel so I can put in serious words of Musar. And it needs to be learned with iklavus, with fire, with energy. Not, the rabbis say that you should have yira. Okay? I don't see enough yira here, Yitzchak. A little increase. Good. Not too much. The cheshbon nefesh, the accounting of your behavior, you need to sit and do. Sit by yourself and ask yourself, what did I do with all the things that Hashem gave me? Work on your humility. Recognize the wonderful things that Hashem has given you for this past year. How grateful do we have to be that we are free and not in some tunnel like our poor brothers and sisters. 102, I think, is the number now. That was also decreed on Rosh Hashanah. You have to increase maisi. When you increase your actions, it helps grow yira. But you have to have that in mind. But if you are not increasing, but rather reducing your maisim, and to say that you're far from repairing yourself, you're also distancing yourself from having yira. The worst, most dangerous situation to be is to be in yush, in despair, believing that there's nothing you can do to help yourself. That you can't change, you can't grow, you can't increase in yira, you can't do, you're just telling Hashem, this is what it is, and I'm done. Yush is the greatest threat to Yirat Shamayim. Yush, despair, is the worst situation to be in. Mincha.